So now what we need to do is start setting up corrective shapes for the jawbone, and then we're going to look at how to actually get them implemented and driven by a UI setup. So first off, we're going to have to start creating the morph shapes, and we need a copy of our character as it currently stands. Best way to do that, I'd turn off skin while you copy it off. It tends to make it a bit easier. Looks like we're going to have to unlock an axis for the character, and we're just going to copy it straight up. And the reason I unlocked the skin modifiers, if I didn't, the character would pop back to its original skinned position. Doesn't really matter, you could easily just delete the skin, but you'll see that this just makes a bit more sense, I guess. I'm just going to call this default. And this will be the shape that I start all the other shapes from, so I can just sort of have a setup. I don't have to keep going through this same process. I just need to get rid of now both of the modifiers off the stack. So this is our default character that we're going to be working with. We're going to want this to be an editable poly so that we can do edge loops and rings and use all the poly tools to get it to work correctly. And we're also going to want to just hide off all the polygons that we don't want to see, because we're using full body morphs, but we really don't need to see the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the sub-object level and just grab all the polygons in the character that I'm really not going to need to see. That might be pretty good there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say hide selected, and I can just clean that up a bit again, I guess, if I want to be really picky. Hide selected, so we're not seeing a whole bunch of extra targets that we don't, or sorry, vertices when we're building the targets that we don't need. And hide selected, so that we've just got the head left of the character. Now, okay, so the next thing we're going to need is an actual morph modifier on the skinned character, and that should go below skin always. You always want morpher below skin, and the simple reason for that is skin is deforming vertices and moving the vertices of the model to the new location. It's not actually pulling the object, it's pulling all its vertices. If morpher were above skin, and we'd pose the character and then we turned up a morph target, the character would actually morph back to its original place. It would actually pull the character all back to its standard pose, and that's not what you want. Other thing about morphing you need to know is that it is best to make sure that all of your envelopes have been baked down to the vertex level. Now we did that with this character. We've been using paint weighting, and we baked all the weights of the skin modifier. And that's just a common practice that I do. But if you've managed to weight your character with the skin modifier and only use the envelopes, you still need to bake it if you're going to be doing any morphing on the character. Because what will happen is you will actually morph a shape, let's say, right out of an envelope, and all of a sudden the vertices will skip outside of the envelope and smear back to 0, 0, 0, wherever they started from, wherever their initial position was. So you need to make sure you bake all that. A couple other things with morphing that need to be addressed right off the bat is morph targets have to have exactly the same amount of vertices or they won't be valid. And we've done that. We've made a copy of the object here to start our targets with. Now, one of the things we can't do here is change the vertex count, so we simply cannot go in and add in a new cut because we don't have enough to start with. You have to make sure you have enough to begin with. The next thing you have to also make sure is that the vertice count is also in the same order. Essentially what happens is vertex 1 of the model will get morphed to vertex 1 in the morph modifier. So if you mirror the character from side to side or tried to rebuild it and just managed to add exactly the same amount of vertices to it, it wouldn't be a valid shape because vertex 1 in the morpher might be here and vertex 1 in the original might be here, and you basically blow your model up. You'd end up with a gigantic mess on your hands as your morph channel was turned up.